Listen, there's a lot of self-improvement advice out there on all of these different topics, right? And it can become confusing from time to time, but generally, people follow trends in self-improvement. Whether that is red pill, black pill, looks maxing, testosterone, bad habits, no fat, blah, blah, blah. There's all these trends, and people follow whatever is trending, whatever is mainstream, right? Even within self-improvement, because self-improvement is not mainstream, but within self-improvement, there are certain main advices being given that people just copy without thinking about it. And what I need you to understand is that if you're doing self-improvement and you just follow along what completely different people with completely different goals, completely different personalities, and completely different problems are doing, you are not going to get success, right? It's like the quote of, you spent your whole life climbing a ladder only to find out that it was put up against the wrong wall. Or no wind is favorable when you don't know what port you want to sail to, right? So what I need you to understand is that there are different personality types. Now there are also different ways of looking at personality types, different traits that are being analyzed. There's Big Five, there's MBTI, there's whatever. I have recently done this MBTI test and really found myself diving into the results, paying to get access to more profound analysis of my personality based on the test that I did, and it is so helpful. You don't need to pay necessarily. If you Google 16personalities.com, you can find a free test. But listen, for example, energy, right? You can either be an introvert or an extrovert, or actually there's like a spectrum, introvert, extrovert, and somewhere on that line you range. And that might change a little bit in different scenarios, but generally you're leaning towards one of the sides or you're more in the middle. But that heavily influences not just your goals, but also your likely experiences thus far. Meaning, for example, self-image is usually more of a problem for introverts than extroverts. Why? Because they introspect a lot, they think about themselves a lot, they analyze themselves a lot. And in this world where we compare ourselves to others, when you look at yourself a lot, you can basically always come to the conclusion that there are so many things you could improve in, making you feel like you are not good enough. So you get like a poor self-image. That's more of an introvert problem. So people will say, the solution to quitting porn is changing your self-image, when for some people, self-image is not a problem. And for some people it is, right? And the world is full of reductionism. The world is full of people saying, women just want that one thing in men. Men only care about this. The only way to get money is this, blah, blah, blah. And it's catchy. People sort of get seduced by extremism easily. Extremism, reductionism is a lot simpler, but in truth the world is quite complex, right? And so introvert, extrovert is one example of how people can differ, and that influences how you improve. Then there is mind, which is either intuitive or observant, right? Just hear me out as I read some of the quotes from an analysis and try to see how this can affect your self-improvement journey. Mind is about how we see the world and process information. Intuitive individuals are very imaginative, open-minded, and curious. They prefer novelty over stability and focus on hidden meanings and future possibilities. Observant individuals are highly practical, pragmatic, and down-to-earth. They tend to have strong habits and focus on what is happening or has already happened, right? These are not good or bad. These are different. And when you work a job, right, it's easy to be more like practical and focus on what is happening because you likely have certain tasks that you need to do. But if you work in a more creative space, if you are more of an entrepreneur, if your work involves more of that imaginative, open-minded and curious way of thinking, well, that's an amazing asset. But what this world will tell you is that you need habits, you need routines, you need every single minute of your day planned, right? And people will say that without doubt, because when people say things with doubt in their content, people are less likely to subscribe, to follow, and to become paying clients, right? It's good for commerce, basically, to be very confident and say things without any doubt. And maybe they don't do that consciously, maybe they just really think that that works because it worked for them. But just because you thrived with every single minute of your day planned doesn't mean that someone else is also going to thrive with that same circumstance. And so habits, routines are very popular, morning routines, night routines, blah, blah, blah. But for some people, including myself, that doesn't work very well. That means that if I want to be productive, I need to find long blocks in a day where I can sort of be more free, right? My problem with productivity is doing the mundane tasks, doing the little things that you need to do repetitively, right? That means that if I want to improve, that's what I tackle. If you're more observant and you have strong habits, you might do things that are no longer affecting your, let's say, your business, right? You keep doing certain things out of routine, regardless of whether they are working or not. And you need a bit of imagination to escape that. And so that is how you improve, right? So it changes per individual. I'm just going to go over these. There's 2 more, or 3 more actually, spectra. The third one is nature. Are you more thinking or more feeling? Thinking individuals focus on objectivity and rationality, prioritizing logic over emotions. They tend to hide their feelings and see efficiency as more important than cooperation. Just that one line, they tend to hide their feelings. I can relate to that. That is problematic, perhaps, in your intimate relationships or in friendship. But that might have advantages in other areas of life. Meaning that if I want to improve, my path is completely different from other people, like feeling individuals who are sensitive and emotionally expressive. They are more empathic, and less competitive than thinking types, and a focus on social harmony and cooperation. Right? Again, there's no right or wrong, but how you improve and what you need to improve on is vastly different. And also your dream situation, your dream outcome, the way you want to live life should be based on who you truly are. And therefore, you need to do completely different things to get to the life you want. Right? There's people seriously preaching that you have sex with as many girls casually as possible to get experience. But if you are more of an introvert and you feel very deeply, then that's not going to be healthy for you. I don't think it's healthy for anyone, but extroverts are a bit more concerned with external validation. And if you are very rational and see efficiency as more important than cooperation, that might be the path you want to go through. That's your decision. I'm not making that decision for you. I'm just saying you need to inform yourself and then act accordingly. Self-improvement is an amazing thing, right? The concept of working on yourself. Some people even say it's the main task in your life, or it should be the main task in your life. And all of the results you get in life are a result of you and what you do and who you become. But that person that you want to become, that's different for different people. So keep that in mind. Then there's tactics. You can either be prospecting or judging. Prospecting individuals are very good at improvising and spotting opportunities. They tend to be flexible, relaxed, nonconformists who prefer keeping their options open. Right? Sounds ideal for an entrepreneur, right? Flexible, nonconformist. That's great. That means that your ideal career or business path has a certain tendency to it. Judging individuals are decisive, thorough, and highly organized. Also amazing qualities, but in different ways. They value clarity, predictability, and closure, preferring structure and planning to spontaneity. They feel most comfortable when the course ahead is well marked. Right? That means that certain things are going to scare you, and you can try to force yourself to go down a certain route because everyone else is doing it or everyone else is saying you should do it. Big difference between those two, but you might just simply do a lot better in a different situation. It's that simple. And then there's this final one, which is identity, which underpins all others, showing how confident we are in our abilities and decisions. And you can either be turbulent or assertive. And turbulent people are self-conscious and sensitive to stress. They are likely to experience a wide range of emotions and to be success-driven, perfectionistic, and eager to improve, which is very much in tune with self-improvement. These people need to worry more about asking too much of themselves, right? And wanting to change too many things at once. And so a great advice for them is have 3 main goals for now and don't focus on other things. Do them when you want to, but focus on 3 things. Someone else is overconfident is an assertive individual who are self-assured, even-tempered, and resistant to stress. They refuse to worry too much and do not push themselves too hard when it comes to achieving goals. Those people need to be told to be more disciplined, to be more demanding of themselves, to try to achieve more, to grow more as an individual. And so that, just these 5 different elements and where you range on each of them influences how you self-improve a lot, right? This general theory, let me look it up, is about predicting behavior with high accuracy. Personality is not the only factor influencing behavior. It's also about your environment, your experiences, and your goals, like I just mentioned. This MBTI outlines indicators and tendencies, and so not rules or definite answers, right? So just because you lean more towards introvert doesn't mean you have to sort of treat yourself as a complete introvert and only listen to advice for introverts, because you are not simply one or the other. You are somewhere in between the 2 extremes. Let me see, I thought it was somewhere. Anyway, it influences your behavior, right? And so something like introvert, extrovert is, do you focus on the internal world or the outside world? That influences how you self-improve. So this is tremendously helpful, and there's way more personality tests. Do whichever you want, but don't just do whatever everyone else is doing, right? Really ask yourself, what is self-improvement? An important element in self-improvement is the self. You need to improve who you are, but do you even really know who you are? The things I just outlined, I only discovered recently. I'm going to dive into it very deeply because this explains so much of the struggles I have with productivity, with dating, with my relationship to family, friendships, my purpose, my mission as a man, what I believe I'm here to do. It gives me a certain Self-assuredness, like I feel more comfortable knowing that the way I am is not, let's say, wrong, but that I just have certain challenges because of how I am in this world. And if the world was completely different, then I would be, let's say, very popular or like top of the food chain. But simply me as an INTP, the world isn't really made for me. And there's people telling me, you have ADD, you can focus, you can concentrate on the work you need to do. And all this time I thought that was because there was something wrong with me. And so I assumed it must have been like a disorder, attention deficit disorder, ADD. Really, as I read these things about how an INTP specifically is always trying to learn new things, I started to realize that I was never really lazy or couldn't concentrate. Or I guess I couldn't concentrate because I was focused on things more interesting. It took me a long time to finish my thesis. And up until now, I always thought I was just unproductive, didn't have it figured out. The bad habits I was doing was affecting my focus. When really at the time, I was diving completely into self-improvement, learning about bad habits, good habits, improving yourself mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, finding a purpose, learning a bit about business, learning about productivity, about masculinity, about whatever I am reading about, right? Or was reading about at the time. I was just way more interested in that. And so I need to realize on one side that that's simply how I am and what I need to embrace because that is where my strengths lie. And I also need to realize that if I want to make the most out of myself, I shouldn't listen to the bullshit advice about this and this and this, you're just undisciplined, you're just this and that. But that there are basically always reasons for the way things are going in my life. And they are usually not that you are unwilling or lazy or disciplined or wrong. It's that the things that are asked of you regardless of who you are and how you perform best. So figure out who you are, come to terms with that, ask yourself what you really want out of life, and then the self-improvement is about making sure that the qualities of yourself that are holding you back no longer hold you back, so you improve and get those things to a certain level where they are no longer limiting. And on the other side is about making the most of your talents, right? With great strengths come great responsibilities. I have a natural talent to dive into complex, interconnected systems, figure out how it is all related. And that is really valuable to people. That can help people a lot, right? A more holistic approach to self-improvement is what I can offer. But my problem then is when I have completely figured out things in my mind, is that I still need to type it down, record a video, or make a course, or make a book, or whatever I want to do. Do those sort of mundane tasks of like typing it all down when you've already thought about it. And then editing a video, publishing it, blah, blah. It's kind of boring to me, but I still need to do it because if I have amazing ideas and solutions, they still need to be shared. And so it is about making the most of your talents and making sure that the things you are not blessed with don't hold you back. That is self-improvement, right? Self-improvement is not about lots of women, lots of money, and then whatever Instagram style trend is going on at the time, right? You see a lot of guys, they're all smoking cigars out of nowhere because Iman Gachi is doing it. They're all wearing old money style because they see it on social media, right? It's all the same. Don't be like that. You have unique talents. Figure out what they are. I used 16personalities.com, so 16personalities.com, and got a test. It's all free. Even the free advice is very valuable. If you want to dive more into it, there's specific guides you can buy for like €9 about the specific issues that your character or your personality type is likely to experience, and go from there. Figure out who you are, especially with productivity, because our brains work completely different. And it's not just about brain fog, ADD, whatever. It's about who you are as well. And that influences how you can be as productive as you can be. How you can be helping people in the best way. How you can do whatever. It comes down to who you are and who you want to be. But if you want to figure out, if you want to achieve that ideal version of yourself, you need to figure out how to get there. Then you need to know where you start. So do me a favor, if you want to actually self-improve and not just be like everyone else. Oh, I get up so early in the morning. Oh, I went for a run. Oh, I did deep work. What were you working on? What were you working on? Is it in line with your ideal path? That depends on if you know who you are. So figure it out and start actually improving. That was it. Have a nice day.